Oh my God. What is up, guys? So, this is my first podcast of 2024, and I thought, what better way to spice it up than to try videos? So, I don't know how this is gonna go. We're gonna give it a nice little test run. And hopefully I'm able to do this more often. So I'm actually dog sitting. It's actually technically December when I'm recording this. Um, but it's totally fine. So I had mentioned it in one of my other podcasts. I forget which one. I think it was my last one that I am recording a lot of podcasts in a group because I'm actually going to surprise my mom and see her for Christmas. So I'm really excited for that. So I'm not gonna be around for 2 solid weeks. So I wanted to get as many podcasts done as I could so that I didn't have to worry about it while I was on vacation. So I'm gonna be going home on the 6th of January. So this is going to be posted on the 3rd of January. So I just wanted to get it all done with and not have to worry about it because let's be real, I don't want to have to worry about podcasting or vlogging or social media or anything like that while I'm enjoying time with my family. I'm still working though. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Um, you can't really take off during the holidays, so I'm just gonna do what I do best and kick butt from home and see if I can still keep my numbers up in terms of work and productivity and everything. So anyway, without further ado, so I'm dog sitting and I'm actually not in my house at all. I am at my friend Tori's house and they have a nice little office. So that's why I'm we'll see how it works because first of all, I am pet sitting. I don't know if I said dog sitting, but she has 2 dogs and a cat, so I'm pet sitting, and also kind of house sitting in a sense. But anyway, they have an office, and for me, I normally record in the comforts of my own apartment, and my apartment is pretty small. I'm going to eventually post a vlog on YouTube of my apartment. But I've just been so busy. I've been working and doing school and trying to keep up with the podcast, doing social media, getting my business back up and running after I moved. Now I'm redoing my whole website for my business, and I'm driving myself crazy, honestly. I have so much to do. And on top of that, with my podcast, I need to constantly think of content. So not only am I listening to other podcasts and typing up notes and gaining as much knowledge as possible, but some of these podcasts are books that I've read. So now I'm adding reading on top of it and I'm writing a book. There's something wrong with me because I need to chill. But I digress. The goals that I set for myself for 2024 are really going to make me a little bit more productive this year. And no shit to my girlfriend, but I love her to death, but I could cuddle her probably 7 hours a day. I don't really know how long. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8 hours a day, right? And then fall asleep with her, and I'd be like, no, that's not enough. I need more love. What is wrong with me? But it's fine. It's fine. So I just feel like I need to do things I need more productivity in my life. I can't just be cuddling with her from Monday through Thursday. But it's fine. We have a goal to do better this year in terms of exercising and getting off our butts, and I want to hang out with her but also be productive, so do whatever I need to do, and then on weekends when I don't see her I'll still be just as productive. I also need to find time to fit my friends into that, though. I love and adore my friends, but I don't have very many here, and I'm on Bumble BFF and stuff like that. So we'll see how it actually goes because I don't know if I'm going to end up deleting the account and focusing on me again, or if I'm going to try to figure out how to juggle everything. My girlfriend made a good point that like I don't have to do everything and I don't have to stress about it. Like I can write, like I don't have to write my book right now, right? So I could put that off. Like I could spend my whole life writing that book if I wanted to. Which I don't. But like let's say I end up doing a more tangible goal and I take like 4 or 5 years to write the book and like publish it by the time I'm like 30 or 32, or that seems more reasonable than like trying to get it done. So some goals are more short term and some are more long term. I also want to start vlogging. I've literally recorded me moving and recorded my apartment, and it's driving me insane that I recorded that stuff in May and I've yet to even upload it to my computer. So I want to do that too. And I'm like, oh my God, like, can I just like not do so much? But also, I love doing so much. So it's a problem. Anyway, let's get into today's episode now that I talked y'all's ears off. I feel like I do this every time, but it's fine. So today's episode is how to forgive yourself for past mistakes. I think that this is a really good episode for my podcast because let's be real, like it's literally called Many Mistakes Ago. So we talk about like just stupid shit. I come up with content and a lot of it is like it started off with me thinking about what I've done wrong, how I've done wrong, how I can do better. And then I started getting into content of like how to do better, setting myself up for success and doing better with goals and all that jazz. So, not only do you want to build a better version of yourself, you have to start with forgiving yourself, forgiving your old self, and realizing that, like, it's okay that you messed up. I mean, it's not, but if you learn from it, at least your mistakes have value and you can learn and grow from those mistakes. So, um, let's see here. Okay, so one thing that I did in 2022 and a little bit of 2023 was I talked a lot of shit. And honestly, like even before 2022, I would just talk shit about people, whether it be to like other people or on social media. And honestly, there is no reason for me to be doing that. I am 26 years old right now. I'm gonna be 27 in March. I'm in my mid 20s. There's no reason to be talking shit. Like, period. Unless the person is actually harming you physically, emotionally, whatever, like unless they are harming you, there is no reason to talk about M at all. Whether it be shit talking or just like explaining the situation, whatever, there's no reason to bring that person up. And if they are the ones talking shit and you're trying to like talk back, or like be, like social media feud, let them, because it just proves that you are taking the higher ground. You don't need to be talking shit on social media. You don't need to be putting out negative energy. You just don't need to engage. And that's something that took me a long time to be like, okay, no, you're right. Because I always felt such a need, for whatever reason, to share my side of things. When in reality, like, I'm gonna believe what I believe. That person's gonna believe what they believe. Any bystanders, anyone else, they're gonna believe what they want to believe. And I've fully come to realize that it's not important to tell my side of the story. It's really not. Like if you don't believe me, that's fine. At this point, I'm not going to force myself um to like come up with like my explanation and reasoning and like force you to listen to it if you're just not going to hear me. There's no point because you can only do so much with somebody if they're willing to listen, if they're willing to comprehend and understand you. If not, there's like no point in talking. There's really not. And I've been in so many situations and like friendships ended because we just couldn't get on the same level of understanding. And I've come to realize like it is what it is. I think a lot of it has to do with age and maturity. And I think that now that I've gotten older, I've learned from different mistakes, and that I've come to like see different scenarios and situations and how I've done wrong, how the other person has done wrong, and just really taken it all in and learn from it, that I can officially say like I've definitely fucked up, first of all, but also just like I can now see for the future, like future references, what's necessary and what's not. And talking on social media, bringing up, a person's name on social media, just talking shit in any way, it's just really not necessary. Now, I do like to post funny things on social media, and that's kind of where I guess you could say teeter a line, because sometimes the things that I do or say is reminiscent of a person. And like, I just think it's funny. Like, I don't know if y'all ever see like those TikToks. I think one of them was a trend recently of like what type of trash your ex is. And then the most recent one is Tate McRae's Kisses, and it's like it has like 5 hearts, and it's like things about your ex. Some of them are nice, but some of them are mean. And like, okay, full disclosure, it was in my drafts. I never posted it, but it started naming off things about Jeff. And one of them was like total mama's boy or something like that. Mama's boy. Just, and that's like, that like reminded me of Jeff. And I was like, this is kind of fucking funny. But like, had I posted that, like it would have just been something funny. But I also have come to learn what is more like appropriate for TikTok and what's funny versus like what is teetering a line. And that one specifically felt more teetering a line. um there's some that I've posted that in the moment I thought they were funny, and then I like took them down because I was like, maybe this is teetering a line and I just don't really trust it. Regardless, it is what it is. I am doing a lot better with that, especially when it comes to like silly little TikTok filters that talk shit about your exes. um, Next thing is, okay, this is really a good point that I want to bring up. So, this is kind of something I've learned within my past mistakes more than forgiving myself. But I heard it on a podcast. I'm going to be honest. I want to say this is Liz Boss from Date Yourself Instead. I'm pretty sure this was from one of her podcasts. Because I listen to her and I listen to Soph, and I'm trying to get into more podcasts and grow in like who I listen to and what I can take and learn and find relevance in. But anyway, so if you have any podcast ideas, please send them my way. I'm so interested in growing and learning and hearing new people, hearing new thoughts, ideas, etc. Especially because I'm going to be doing my own podcast, and a lot of it is going to be knowledge from other people, books, whatever I can really, find a way to gain that knowledge. Um, but Liz had said that she waits 24 hours before responding to somebody if they're in a tricky sticky situation, like maybe they're on the verge of an argument, or they're in a disagreement and they don't want it to escalate. Liz says that she just waits 24 hours. Now, obviously, you don't have to wait a full 24 hours. I think at bare minimum, you need to cool down. But I think I want to at least start sleeping on things. Because one thing I can say that I used to do is I would feel the need to respond right away because I didn't want the other person to think I was ignoring them, especially if we were in the middle of a disagreement or argument. And come to learn, not only through maturity and age, but through just general experience where it's always failed me. I want to just wait to respond. I need to cool down, first of all, because I can get very temperamental. And I don't want to react out of emotion. I want to be able to really think about what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and be just more thoughtful and careful, especially with my words. I know they don't always come out right. Like, I kid you not, the other day, last week actually, it was a Sunday. I was supposed to see my girlfriend after she got out of work, and she was like, "Do you want the night for yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be great." And I was like saying, "Yeah, like I have so much I need to do. Like that would be great. Like a weight lifted off my shoulders, right?" That's how I was feeling. And she literally was like, "That would be great," and like got in her head and was overthinking. And I'm like, when she told me that, I was like, yeah, that was definitely a miscommunication, and especially on my part. Like, I could have chosen my words way better. But when I'm mad, I definitely don't think about my words. They come off awful. And definitely nasty and rude if I'm in a bad mood. Like, I was in a good mood and I said that. Like, words are hard. Words are hard. So, obviously, like, I want to be making sure that if I'm talking to somebody, especially if I'm having a disagreement, or more like not seeing eye to eye, like, I want to be able to have a clear head and think about the words that I'm saying, think about how they could affect the other person. Because let's be honest, I don't technically owe anyone anything. You don't owe anyone anything. Nobody does. I'm so serious. Like, you do not owe your mom anything, your dad anything. Yes, your mom birthed you, but like, if she's abusive, you don't owe her anything. Even if she's loving, like, you are your own person. You don't owe anyone anything. However, with me saying that, if you want to have loving, healthy, strong connections, you are going to feel the want for owing someone something. For example, you're going to want to work things out. You're going to want to have conversation. You're going to want to hang out with them. You're going to want to spend quality time with them. You're going to want to do things to build and secure and keep that connection. And conversation, a response, that's a part of it. You don't technically owe that person anything, but if you're trying to build a friendship, a relationship with them of some sort, you're going to want to do those things. That's how we have human connection. We build connection from talking to each other, from responding, from having empathy, sympathy, from just being a good, decent human being. So, having the mentality of, I don't owe anyone anything, I mean, yes, it's true. Sorry, I am focused on my blood sugar. We're just going to give a little bit more insulin. I had the mentality of that for a while until I realized just how fucked up it was. Like, I'm saying I don't owe anything to any one of my best friend of 3 years. 5 years, 10 years? Well, of course, like, you've built such a connection that you might not technically owe them anything, and you could walk up and leave, but like, that's fucking terrible. I'm sorry, but that's awful. And like, to think about it, I'm like, I really had that mentality when I was in high school and college. Like, it blows my mind because I realize like how fucked up it is. And again, that's why I say experience, age, and maturity level really like show that difference. Like, it really like puts in my mind how disgusted I am at myself looking back. But how do I forgive myself for that? I have to accept that I was that person. I have to own up to that. And I do. I will admit I was a fucked up human being, and like, I did some really fucked up things. Not only do you have to admit it, come to terms with it, you don't have to apologize to the other person if it isn't going to do them any good. Because personally, apologies, depending on the timing and what they're for, a lot of people apologize because they want to feel better about what they did. In reality, we should be apologizing for truly hurting the other person. Granted, with my mistakes, a lot of them were so long ago that they're not really, like, it's not my place to apologize. Like, I am sorry, but I'm not going to go and reach out to somebody from 5, 6, 7 years ago and be like, hey, I'm sorry. It, it's stupid. It's like, this is going to be a really hot take. But have you ever seen on TV shows when somebody is becoming sober and they go to AA or NA or whatever, and they have to do I think it's the 12-step program, and they have to make amends? And some of these people are apologizing to people from way back when. Sometimes it's like that person doesn't want to see you. You fuck them up. Your apology doesn't mean shit now. You're not changed. You're in AA or NA. That doesn't mean you're completely changed. You're trying to make amends, and that's great. I love that you're working the program, but sometimes people don't want to hear it, and that's okay. But that's my thought process, is that like, I'm this person who's in NA or AA, and I'm like, trying to make my amends, but it's not helping them. It's not. It's helping me, and that's selfish. And that's kind of where my mindset is at. And that, I have to say, is like the one step in the program. Granted, I don't know much about the program, but making amends, yes, it's important, but you also have to judge the situation, feel the room out, you know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing that I can't wrap my brain around, is that like, you need to feel out the situation. If this person you haven't spoken to in over 5 years, do they really want to hear from you? Because if not, it's not necessary. But like, there are some situations where like, I did like, okay, Sabrina is a great example. I was friends with Sabrina, and we had a falling out, and I was very, very cruel and mean. And it actually was Brianna who brought us back together. And Brianna was telling me, Sabrina like really misses you, and like, she really wants to talk things out, blah, 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 blah. And granted, I was the one who walked away from our friendship, and I did some really fucked up things after. Just by talking shit and stuff like that on social media. Again, something that I know I regret doing. In that situation, I did go and I apologized to her and I talked shit out with her because I knew it was wanted, and I felt intuitively that it was necessary. There are people from my past that I would love to apologize to, that I would love to sit there and be like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I just want you to know that like, what I did was really fucked up. What I said was really fucked up. Like, I'm really trying my hardest to actually be a good human being and learn from my mistakes, and maturing and growing and really taking time to work on myself has really pushed me to like want to apologize and whatever. But in the back of my mind, the more I like think about the things that I want to say, the more I'm like, is this gonna help them or is it gonna help me? Because do they need to hear my apology? Like, that's like what I'm trying to wrap my brain around, is like, do they really need to hear my apology, or am I just gonna make things worse? Or are they gonna be like, cool, thanks, like, bye, like, get out of my life? um I just, I would only want to apologize if it was actually something that was beneficial. I don't want to apologize and then they don't feel any different in terms of like, hey, I really needed that apology. Like, what you said really like messed with me, or like, I don't know. I feel like the way I'm trying to explain it makes a little bit of sense. And maybe it's just like my stance on the situation, but I just feel like if it's only going to benefit me to apologize, I need to just move on and forgive myself. I want it to be able to benefit the other person, and if it harms the other person or doesn't benefit the other person, I don't see the point in apologizing. Because I'm sure if people hear this podcast or see this podcast or just have listened to me even on social media a little bit in the past like year or so, like if these people were keeping up with me, I feel like they would get the sense that like she's probably sorry for what she did. She's probably talking about me. I really don't want her to reach out. Like, that's like where my mindset goes, is if they were to listen to me. Or on the flip side, they hear nothing about me. They want nothing to do with me. They're not interested. They don't follow up on my life. At that point, why am I reaching out? I'm like a freaking ghost trying to come back from the graveyard? So I guess like that's my thought process on that. I know that was a really long thought process, but I'm just trying to kind of like make it make sense. And I feel like sometimes I explain things and they don't make sense. So if it made sense and I just wasted like 10-20 minutes of your life, I'm so sorry. Let's move on to the next one. Karma will take care of it for you. So I wrote like little snippets from things that I was listening to from this podcast. So karma will take care of it for you. If somebody genuinely hurt you, somebody genuinely just done fucked up, right? Karma will take care of it for you. You don't need to shit talk on social media. You don't need to be plotting your revenge. Let it go. Give it to the universe's hands, or whatever you believe in. If you believe in God, if you believe in Jehovah, if you believe in Jesus, whatever you believe in. Sorry, I'm not very religious. I only know a um couple of things about religion. I don't know enough, so I apologize. Um, but let it go into the universe's hands, or whatever you want to let it go into. Karma will take care of it for you. I am a full believer in karma. I'm a full believer in a lot of things, but karma is one of them. And I feel like I've definitely got my karma for a lot of the things that I did. I like realized my mistakes, whatever, and learned from them and didn't make the mistake next time, because I feel like we do repeat patterns until we learn from our mistakes. But yeah, let it go, give it away, get away your worry, because I'm a full believer in the fact that the universe will take care of whatever happened for you. right? It's kind of like somebody makes fun of somebody, and then that person that made fun of the other person slips on a banana peel. I don't know. It's just, you know what I mean? Like silly little things like that. Like karma will come, justice will be served. You don't need to be the one to serve it. And that was another thing that I struggled with, is that I felt like if somebody hurt me, I wanted them to feel that same pain. And all that it was doing was not only hurting that other person, but in reality, I was wasting my time and energy making sure that that person got karma or whatever, and that they felt the way that they made me feel. What was it doing? It was so pointless. I was wasting all of his energy when I could have let it go and learned from it and healed from it and grown from it. I think I realized a lot of things that I did, a lot of things in my past were just very petty and not needed. Okay, so with this video podcast recording, I'm still learning. So I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm going to be drinking water on camera. Um, because when I record it without like this, I'm using a completely different app to record when it's just audio. So I can start and stop at any time. Here I I can press the stop button, but I really don't want to because I don't know where my stuff is going to go. Anyway, next one. Okay. This is a really good one, and this goes hand in hand with forgiving yourself. Just because you do a bad thing or you make a mistake does not mean you are a bad person. I feel like a lot of us tend to get into this mindset of, I fucked up, I'm a bad person. That's not the case. You did a bad thing. You fucked up. You made a goddamn mistake, but that doesn't define you. What defines you is how you move forward, right? If you continue to do those shitty things, you're definitely having a pattern of being a bad person. And you might be on that track if you aren't already. But I have a full belief that if you have a good heart and you're trying, that's a dang start, because it is really hard to be human. I don't care what anybody says, life is not easy. It's not. We are all learning how to get along, how to get shit done, how to freaking navigate this earth. And we are all different too. Like, even your soulmate is going to take some work, you know? It might be easier, but every human connection takes work. You are going to disagree. You're going to have different opinions. You're going to have different walks of life. You're going to have different outlooks. Everything, like, you are forming a relationship with somebody who is not you, who is not 100% you. They're not going to understand every little thing about you. They're not going to understand why something might piss you off. They're not going to understand your tics. And that just goes to show, like, we are all different. We need to have patience and compassion with one another in order to build those connections. And I feel like we all have a level of goodness in our hearts, and I don't think that a mistake here, a mistake there makes us a bad human, because we literally all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. Literally none of us. um I don't know. That's all I really have to say about that. Like, we all make mistakes, and I don't know one damn person out there that's perfect. I can tell you, I've fucked up so many times. I have ruined relationships. I've burned bridges. I've said some really nasty things. I've done some really nasty things. Like, we're not perfect. Like I said, what matters is how you change, how you grow, how you respond to things the following times, and how ultimately you can look back at yourself and be like, I'm disgusted at that version of myself. Because that's how you know you've grown. Is if you can look back on you from last year and be like, she's toxic. She's stupid. What is she doing? You know? And that's how I feel about myself from even a year ago. Definitely how I felt about me 2 years ago. Don't even get me started. But um just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person. Don't don't start that negative self-talk, because that will bring you into a cycle. Think of it of, hey, I'm still a good person, but I did something really messed up. And now it's my job to make amends however I can, if it applies, and how to fix it, and how to move on, and how to forgive myself, and how to grow so that I don't do it next time if they're, warranted a next time, or if that situation were to arise again, because not all situations are going to happen again. Okay, next thing, you know who you are as a person, you know your heart, and you know your intentions. And you need to own up to what you did and learn how to grow from it. And you also need to allow for whoever you hurt to heal. So that's kind of a sum of what we just talked about. But also, the main thing is whoever you hurt, if your actions affected somebody else, don't say that you didn't hurt them. That is not your place. If they say that they hurt you, you don't get to say, no, I didn't. That's that simple. If they say, hey, you hurt me, you don't get to say, no, I didn't. That's not how it works. It's simply not. If I hurt somebody, I'm going to apologize, but I'm going to allow them the space to figure out how they can heal from it, because their reaction and their process is going to be different from my process. I'm going to, take my accountability. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to make amends. I'm going to, correct my behavior, do my steps in my healing process. But now that they've been hurt, they have their own healing process that they need to go through. And I need to allow the space and the compassion for them to heal, if that makes sense. And I'm a full believer in that. Like, if somebody were to hurt me, they would need to do what they need to do. But now I need to figure out how to sit with that feeling. I need to figure out how I feel about that person. Is it worth keeping the connection? Yes, they said they're sorry, but are they going to change? If they do change, is it worth me sticking around to find that out? Have all of those questions ready. Like I said, just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person, but just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that person has to stick around. If it's a mistake that's bad enough, they don't have to be your friend. But if it's a mistake that that person can forgive and say, hey, if you do this again, like, we're done. But if you don't and you learn from it, I can accept that and I can let go and move on because I want to be your friend. That's what I mean by you don't owe anyone anything. But if you build a strong enough connection with somebody, you're going to want to owe them something. So owing someone something or wanting to owe somebody something is, if you have a strong enough, long enough connection, you're not going to want to, like, burn that bridge off of one little thing. Or maybe it's a medium thing. Maybe it's a big thing. Really depends. Like I said, it depends on the relationship, it depends on the connection, and it depends on what happened. So with that being said, allow the other person the space to heal from that hurt. Ask them what they need. Ask them what you know, they need from you. You know, let's say I hurt you, I'm going to say, I know I hurt you. I want to allow you the space to heal. Is there anything that you need from me? Do you want me to comfort you? Do you want me to leave you alone? You know, kind of feel out the situation and ask questions if you can't feel out the situation. Because sometimes, depending on the connection, you already know what to do, you already know what they need. You know, for me, when I'm hurt, I want space to process. So if my girlfriend were to hurt me, she would know to give me space. Depends on the connection, right? Um, I think that's all I have to say about that. Let's move on because we are 40 minutes in and I want to make sure I get to all the points that I want to get to. Okay. Try to be honest with yourself and stop living in denial. We are not perfect and we all have our own shit. I know I kind of talked about this already, so I'll keep it really short and sweet. Again, we're not perfect. None of us are. We all have our own shit. We all have done something wrong. We all have made mistakes. We all have, or most of us have, at least attempted to learn from our mistakes. And we all have been through some shit. So all of us have a level of understanding and a level of compassion, especially for certain people, but just people in general. And it's okay that we made a mistake because it's bound to happen. We're human. Just don't kill anybody. If you can at least not kill somebody, that's a great start. Obviously, you don't want to hurt somebody, you don't intend to hurt somebody, but sometimes it happens emotionally, mentally. Physically, I could debate on that one. I don't think that you can subconsciously physically harm someone. Emotionally, it does happen. I've seen it. We get triggered, we lash out, we hurt somebody. That's where the person who struggles with the lashing out needs to work on their shit. Okay, next one. Do as much as you can to grow and evolve as a person. I think that's pretty self explanatory, if I must say so myself. Okay, next one. We all have lessons to learn, and it is important to take those lessons into consideration and do better next time. Again, self explanatory. Last one here I have is the best way to honor yourself and honor your truth and to be the best version of yourself is to learn how to let go and release negative energy. So I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but essentially, when we make a mistake ourselves, we have to learn to let it go. We can't keep beating ourselves up for it because that is not how we're going to grow and move on and learn from it. We're just going to get into this cycle of beating on ourselves and saying we're a shitty human, and it kind of gets almost, I don't know if I want to say narcissistic is the correct word. I feel like a lot of people use that term loosely, and I'm very cautious of trying to use that term because I can't say that I always use it correctly. But I try to use it correctly. But essentially, what I'm looking for is um, like manipulative. Let's go with that. I like that one. I think it's more fitting. You know, that ex boyfriend who's like, or that boyfriend who becomes your ex boyfriend, and he's like, I'm gonna kill myself if you leave me, and then he doesn't. Manipulation, right? So beating yourself up and saying, oh, I'm a shitty person, instead of apologizing and taking accountability, it's manipulation. Straight and simple. So I feel like that's just kind of the vibe. that I'm going for is to be able to let go of beating yourself up and release that negative energy. Journal, do record a podcast or a voice memo or note and never show it to anybody. Delete it afterwards. It has the same vibe as writing yourself or somebody else a letter and then like burning it or like crumpling it up and throwing it away or shredding it or whatever. Let it out. Let everything you possibly can out. Do not let it out to another person. Let it out. Let it into the universe that you need to let go of the energy and then discard. If you need to talk to somebody about their actions or, whatever, and you fucked up, think carefully about your words. Make sure you're using kind words. Make sure you're not pointing fingers. Make sure that you are coming from a place of good intentions. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? So you can start another argument so you can hurt somebody again? No. And on the flip side, if somebody has hurt you and you're the recipient of that hurt, you need to learn how to let it go too. It depends on what the other person says, but if they say something really fucked up, let's say about your body or your image or what you look like or something along those lines, like a bullying comment, you need to not let that affect you and realize that that is more of a reflection of the person saying it than it is of yourself. And it's harder to actually put into practice. It's easier said than done, right? But you need to learn how to let certain things go because you need to keep your confidence up and you need to keep your worth up. You need to say and be able to differentiate between, is this person somebody I want in my life, or is this someone I need to let go in order to complete a karmic cycle, to get rid of toxic people in my life, or do I need to let this person go to learn a lesson? Do I need to let this person go just because they're simply not good for me? Whatever the case may be, on both ends, whether you are the one to cause the hurt or whether you were the one to receive the hurt, or if, sometimes it happens, sometimes you're both, depending on the situation. Sometimes both people are both sides. Whatever the case is, you both need to learn how to let go of your part. You need to let go of how you are handling it, how it is affecting you, and find the best course of action and how to find the best way to heal and grow from it. If it's a lesson to be learned, learn the lesson. Again, easier said than done, but sometimes the lesson is really simple. Sometimes it's don't be a fucked up human being. Sometimes it's don't be a bitch. Because for me, I know that lesson took a while for me. Sometimes it's about finding a balance, right? I don't remember what episode I talked about this in, but there was a long period of time where I was a doormat and I would allow people to walk all over me. They would say whatever they wanted to say to me. I would get bullied, cyberbullied, everything. And one day I just had enough and I did a complete 180 and I became a bitch. And I said, nobody's allowed to step on me now. They want to step on me, I will bark and bite right back. That's not the energy to be had. You need to find a compromise, a happy medium, right? You can be assertive without being aggressive. You can stand up for what you believe in without being nasty. You can sit there and have a conversation that is worth having. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be pushy. You have to be assertive, stand up for what you believe in, and be a decent human being while doing it. It's that simple. I mean, it's not, but it is. You know, I think it's simple once you mature and you grow and you realize these things. But when you're, in high school, middle school, even like your early 20s where you're still not fully developed in your brain and you're still like learning life lessons, it's not easy. But I think now that I'm 26, now that I've gone through a lot of life lessons, now that I've lost a lot of people by my wrongdoings, now that I've like taken the time to reflect and self reflect and just think and do shadow work and go to therapy and take medications that help me. Now that I've done all of these things and I continue to do them, I think it's a lot easier to sit here and say it's that easy because my mind clicked. It finally makes sense to me. Yes, it took me a long damn ass time, and I probably could have and maybe should have learned those lessons earlier, but sometimes it does take a lot more for certain people to learn things, and that's okay. It's not okay that you hurt people in the process, but it's okay that it took you a while to learn things because at least you learned it. You're not 40, 50 years old and you're talking shit and you're posting bullshit on social media and stuff like that. No, like you are grown. You don't need to be doing that. And that's what I'm reminding myself is I'm 26 and I can finally say ew to the things that I've done and not want to do them again and have no desire to do them again. If I were to have a friendship breakup, I have a specific person in mind. Not because I want a friendship breakup, but because they're just a good example because I know how they are as a person. But let's say I have a friendship breakup with that person. I can fully say that my goal is if that were to ever happen, and it could be a fictional person, I just happen to have a specific person in mind because I am thinking about in my head the things that person would say to me and what I would say to them. I'm like, no. Deep breath. I would wait to respond. I would choose my words carefully. I would come from a place of compassion. I would try to understand their point of view. If I hurt them, I would acknowledge that I hurt them. I would validate that I hurt them. And I would say, this friendship isn't worth fixing for me. Or, whatever the case may be. If it was that, or if it was, hey, I'm really, really sorry. I know I fucked up. I did XYZ. It caused you pain. It caused you grief. And I don't like it. I don't like that person. I don't like that I did that. Here's the steps I'm going to take to fix it. I hope that we can fix our friendship. Whatever the case may be, I just want to think more and act less. And that's a huge goal for me. And I finally am comfortable enough to say that I'm so confident that I could do that because I've learned that not acting on emotion is the best thing for me. There has been quite a few moments, especially this summer, where I have had to stop, feel my emotions, and process them. I have done a lot more of that lately, and I feel like I'm actually at a point in my life where I am more comfortable with taking the time to stop and reflect before I figure out my next step. Whether it be talking to the person, letting it go, whatever. I'm finally allowing my brain to process what happened and figure out how to move on from there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I know that that was a long episode. I know that I I had a lot to say, and a lot of it was probably repeated. But I thank you so much for sticking it out with me, because this is my first like video episode and I'm like wild about it. Um, that was episode 18, How to Forgive Yourself for Past Mistakes. The biggest takeaway I can say is you need to learn to let go. You know you're not a shitty person for one mistake. You can fix it. Nothing is unfixable. Nothing. This world is temporary. Everything is temporary, and that's the most amazing thing about life, is that you can always change it. You are subject to change. And yes, it's scary, but it's also a great thing, because you can always go back. Let's say you move out of state, you can always move back. You know what I mean? Obviously, some friendships you can't amend or fix, but you can always take that and learn from that and build better friendships, because you know where you fucked up. Right? And you might meet somebody on that level of you now. You might meet somebody you're more compatible with in a friendship level. So just like things like that. Like you are always going to be where you need to be. And I'm also a full believer in that. And whatever you need is going to be around you. If you need to meet a certain person for a certain lesson, they will come into your life. If the universe thinks you deserve some good shit and they send you somebody some way to give you love and affection, they're gonna do it. It's just that simple. Like, wherever you need to be, you will be. Full believer. Anyway, next episode is about gaining confidence. And I'm really excited about that episode, because I feel like a lot of us struggle with insecurity and struggle with like how to be confident without being cocky, because that's huge. A lot of people mistake confidence for cockiness, or what's a word, like being self-absorbed. And you know what, fuck it, if you think I'm self-absorbed just because I'm confident, deuces. But just how to gain confidence, really, because being confident is key to respecting yourself and respecting who you are as a person, and knowing what you deserve in life. Like, that is the root of you as a person, is your confidence level. So please, 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 I cannot wait. That episode will be published on Wednesday, January 10th. So please, please, please look out for that episode. I think I'm going to try to make it a video episode. We'll see how it goes, but I'm crossing my fingers that this goes well, and that, you know, I can do more video episodes, because this was fun. I'm a little bit self-conscious about it, but I'm gonna figure out how to like edit it better, or just not drink water in the middle of the episode. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still learning how to podcast. I'm still learning how to video podcast. So just stay tuned, and I love you guys, and I think anyone who has ever listened to me, and if you're still here, I love you, thank you, and you deserve the best. I hope your January goes amazing. It runs smoothly. You stick to all your New Year's resolutions, and you kick some ass out there.